Are we ready, Risa? Well, good morning, everyone, and here we are again in person. You know, I kind of like savor each of these times where we don't have to like cancel it or, restrict it in some way. And masks are optional, so we get to see a few faces and everyone, makes a judgment as to what they're comfortable with. So far, so good. We always have lots of stuff to talk about. Got a pretty good slide deck here, so lots of things to cover. I want to touch base on a few things first as we kind of get going here. One is, kind of our West Wing conversations. We've had, I think, 23 meetings since our beginning with individual residents of the West Wing, and so we're about a third of the way through, roughly. And I mean, it's very informative. I mean, we learn a lot. I mean, I think it's very important that we're meeting in residence apartments because there is an appreciation for the life that is being lived in each of these apartments and what it means to each individual and what that means in terms of how we will have to deal with relocation if that should come to pass. We get a better understanding of what matters to people. And, this is not like 50 apartments for 50 people. We're not doing dorm room assignments here. We all went through that at another stage of our life. It was no fun then. We're not doing it again. So it's really helpful to understand what matters to people and so that we can factor that into whatever that game plan is when and if that time comes. There's a lot of commonalities in what people feel about what this means for them in terms of a relocation, and there are lots of really good surprises. There are a lot of people who are very flexible and other people not as flexible for very good reasons. So it's not a one size fits all, but there are some common themes. I mean, nobody wants to be off site. I think that's a common theme. But in terms of what people want and when they want to do something and whether or not they're flexible about moving back to a West Tower is different among different people. So we're learning a lot. We're going to continue to learn some more. And I'm very appreciative of the time that people have taken to spend with us to talk it through so that we're doing our best job in listening and clarifying where we need to. And we'll keep at it. It'll take us all the way through the month of May. And then we'll start talking about, all right, how do we assess all this information? We've got it well organized and see what this data tells us and how it will help us construct some solutions that we can then talk through with people, not just implement, but talk it through with people so that people know what kind of approach we're going to take. And we'll know more about that in the fall. Let's see. I also wanted to mention that we have a letter that is going out to the mayor that is inviting the mayor to come and talk to us about what's going on in downtown Seattle. And it expresses the concerns we have just of violence and safety in downtown Seattle and Freeway Park and so on. It's being signed by myself, by Torsten at Skyline, and also by Travis Duncan at Mirabella. So the three of us are on it. Neil McReynolds was the one who kind of sponsored the idea of getting this off the ground. We're not opining on how people solve the mental illness and the homeless problem here in downtown Seattle. I mean, that's a complex thing that's beyond our pay grade. But we do want to acknowledge that there's been certain efforts made by the mayor to help with dealing with the crime and the violence. And we want to invite them, he and his staff and or council members to come to Horizon House and talk about it, kind of tell us what the game plan is, offer some comfort and confidence to a game plan. We'll see if the mayor responds. The letter is going to be posted in the mailroom so everyone can read it and see what we say. But I think it's a reaching out to civic leaders to help them understand that we're paying attention and we're interested in what they might have to say. So I encourage you to read that. If it's not posted today, we'll get it posted by Monday. Let's see, the other thing I wanted to mention was that we had a marketing study done on Tuesday. It was up at the Serrano Hotel. If you remember in some of the information I've shared with you, both in writing and verbally, there are three legs of the stool that we are interested in stabilizing over the course of 2022. The first is the West Wing building design and its ability to be on that West Wing footprint and how that all works from a structural standpoint and size and so on. That's currently underway. The second is, to understand what is the cost of that building and the financing of that building, and we want to hone that in, and that's somewhat underway, but somewhat dependent on the first part. You have to have a commitment to a building before you can actually get the real cost. We're closing it. The third leg of the stool is understanding what the market demand is for living in a West Tower here at Horizon House. Do people have both the income qualification, but also the cultural qualification? This is a step that other communities don't need to do perhaps. They don't assess whether or not there's a cultural fit when they go to put something up. Skyline put up their building and they didn't do any big cultural fit. They just say, hey, we got a building and it's really nice views and it's expensive, you should move in. And that's okay. But we want to know if the population out there cares about our model. And so we're doing extra work to figure that out. So we held 2 sessions on Tuesday up at the Serena Hotel. It was run by Promatura from, Oxford, Mississippi. Who would have thunk it? They do this around the country. Somebody said to me, well, how can anybody from Oxford, Mississippi know anything about Seattle? And my guess is they know nothing, but they know how to ask questions and they understand data. And they did a great job. It was really, really good. I wish you could all have been there. We will share the report with residents when it is out and available, probably in a month or so. But they did a really good job. They know what they're doing. And they were asking a lot of key questions. There were certain things that was a dialogue back and forth, so it was more qualitative information. And then there were a lot of polling questions, one of them being, of the 20 or 30 polling questions, one of them was, if you were ready to move into a retirement community right now, would you move into a community in downtown Seattle or First Hill? Well, the objective of that question was to find out, are people afraid of downtown? Without asking them, are you afraid of downtown? 75% of people said agree or strongly agree that they would move into a community in the First Hill or downtown area. And that was a major relief. I thought, okay, yes, there were lots of questions, hands being raised about concerns over what's happening in downtown Seattle, but it wasn't showing a sign that people were going to resist being in downtown Seattle. Now, obviously, we got to make some improvements and progress so that doesn't change, but I was encouraged about that. The other thing I was encouraged by was when we shared, I did a presentation on our resident-driven community, and I'm honest about it. It's resident-driven, but it's not, all peaches and cupcakes. There is controversy. And I said the West Wing, and people knew about it. I said the West Wing, West Tower is controversial. This is upsetting. This is concerning, and it's for good reason. And I said, but we do engage in the conversation. We engage in discussion. We don't just push it back. It doesn't mean we change all of our minds because people don't agree with something, but it means that the type of community that you would be moving into is one in which you will tackle these things straight up. We are having all these meetings with residents. We're doing things that might not be common in other communities. So when I kind of presented that whole thing about how we are resident driven, resident involved, and had a little slide deck, the next polling question was, okay, given what Mike said, do you think that this is, you strongly agree, so, don't agree, whatever, about whether or not this is a community that interests you? And 75% of the people said, yeah, this looks like a place that I would want to be. And when I looked around the audience, I was reassured that they look like, ask questions, behave a lot like the people in this room. And it was encouraging to know that there are more people that want the model of that active engagement. Now, whether or not that proves out anything, who knows? But it is an indication that we're not crazy, that there are more people like the people at Horizon House who are interested in what Horizon House has to offer. And that as a part of our mission and vision, extending that to more people is a good thing, notwithstanding the complications and disruption that it creates that has to be taken very seriously. Another thing that we noticed, or were informed of, that we had these 2 groups of 40 plus people in the room. And E. Smith, who was running the project, oh, by the way, when they do that little keypad thing, everyone goes to the little keypad. They're all given a keypad. They type in their answer, and 45 seconds later, it comes up on the screen in a graph. So you get this immediate result of the question that you answered. And that keeps you from getting survey fatigue, because you kind of want to know, well, gee, do people vote like me or not? And so we had like 20 plus questions like that, and people were actively engaged the whole time. They asked lots of hard questions. One of the questions was about skilled nursing. People were adamant that they just said, I have to move to a place with skilled nursing. And I just had a chance to, with all the information that Lori has helped me understand, get up on the soapbox and say, you know what, we just have a different model here, and explain it. And afterwards, people came up and said, I didn't know that. That was really informative. And all of a sudden, they let go of that need that skilled nursing was the critical part of their decision making. Anyway, I'm kind of jumping around, but on the two groups of 40, Edie Smith said that they never have this kind of turnout, that we had enough people to probably put on one, maybe two more sessions, that most people sign up and don't show up, and everybody showed up and some others showed up, and we couldn't let them in because somebody didn't have any more room. So it was a very positive experience. We'll see what it all says. Again, it is not the definitive, but it was another step in understanding that there is an audience for what we are talking about. So in about a month or so, they'll have a formal report. We will share that with you so you kind of understand the kinds of questions that were asked and kind of see what was being talked about. And we'll just kind of keep going down that path. But again, I thought it was a good conversation. We tested pricing. You may hear this from your friends or something, that we had some pretty astronomical pricing. It's not that we want to be charging astronomical pricing. This is an exercise in the price elasticity of demand, where at what point does the pricing of something cause demand to go down? That's what we want to understand. Not that we're going to charge the most. We just kind of want to understand, where are the fence lines here? What's the range of acceptability? And I'll be interested to see where that comes out. It looked like very more middle market than higher market. People wanted things that were more in the, not necessarily quote penthouse type stuff, but kind of in the middle, which to me seems like a lot more of where residents are here too. Anyway, lots of good information, and we will be sharing that with you when it's available in an organized way. So let's move on. So I think Joan's going to talk a little bit about communication and give some context there. Thanks.
Just a minute. I like to be able to see over the podium. You know why I'm so excited to be here today? It's the first time I'm taking a mask off in a public area of Horizon House. So here I am in all my glory. I'm newish. I've been here 3 months. I'm communications manager, and I've gotten to know some of you, and I hope to get to know a lot more of you. As I've been learning the communication ropes here, it has helped me to put things in context regarding this topic. And I thought maybe it would be of help to you too. It might be a review, it might be some basics, but nevertheless, here we go. Before we go on though, I would like to take a minute to thank Lacey Kabrick, who started here as a COVID screener during the start of the pandemic. And over the months, she took on more and more things. There were staffing changes. Lacey has really taken on single-handedly a large proportion of communication that has gone on here. And she has been the wind beneath my wings, as I have learned. So I really want to thank her for everything that she has done. So who is communications at Horizon House? It's me, it's Lacey, and we hope to bring on a third person soon. I also want to acknowledge our resident council communications committee. Under the leadership this year of Sam Sperry and Karen Lane, and this committee works with us as a sounding board, support for communications efforts, educating fellow residents, and liaising with us on areas of mutual interest. And I also want to acknowledge those who just rolled off the committee for their prior participation. Susan Barish, John Clement, Beth Davis, Ruth Eller, Madge Hislop, George Kenny, and Doris Palomo. So let's go on. So we have technology continuum here at Horizon House. Time marches on, and there's so many ways to access information nowadays because of computer technology and the internet. Digital information is increasingly at our fingertips. When it comes to technology and communication, I think there's a resident continuum here at Horizon House. On one hand, you have the folks who love technology, who've used it in their careers or maybe even had a career in technology. Then there are those on the other end who don't give a hoot, okay? So then there's everybody in between on that spectrum. So I think the present generation here are like the in-betweeners. You all can remember when the only way you got information was paper, right? Who remembers the scent of freshly mimeographed sheets? Okay, that's gone the way of the dodo bird, right? So whether you're a heart or an owl or an in-between, the question for you is this: how do you best receive information? How do we best provide it? So first, our bottom line is to have effective communications, we have to be timely, we have to be accurate, we have to be clear, and we have to be consistent. How are we doing with that? Okay, here's an example. When there's a mistake in the alert for an event notice that you've submitted, it's distressing. We get it. We totally get it. When an elevator sign is missing, we get it. Elevator sign is missing. Okay. So let me tell you about a few of our little challenges. Details. We deal with a ton of information. Keeping with the example of the alert, do you know that we get 30 to 40 emails every week to put things in the alert? That's a lot of email, and it's a lot of, I sent this email, but now I want to change this. There's a lot of back and forth. So it's kind of an intensive job. So there's a lot of detail. Even the New York Times does it, makes mistakes. Yes, it's true, we're human. And mistakes are going to happen. I would like to thank, we have some resident editors that help us with the alert: John Longris, Barbara McHague, Peter Elbow, Elizabeth Edgerton, and Judy Peabody. You should see the alert when they mark it up. It's great. We had a kind of a perfect storm when I came on. There was a perfect storm. We had the snow and the cold. A lot of staff disruption with that, the Omicron surge, not to mention the holidays. Hopefully that's in the rear view mirror as particularly I get my sea legs. It was a little interesting there for a while. Sometimes a bad dog. That's technology. Sometimes, like a pet dog who misbehaves, technology is sometimes a bad dog, like HHTV this week. Okay, we roll with the glitches because the good dog far outweighs the bad dog, even though it can be disruptive. So in those cases, we do appreciate your patience. So it's human nature to know what's wrong. We all do it. But I just would like to take a little twinkle for the vast majority of the information that is correct. So let's talk about our communication channels. First of all, we have the alert, better known as the Bible. Okay. Formerly, I think there was talk that the printed alert was going away. Nope, not going away. Okay. We don't want paper communications and digital communications to be enemies. There's a place for both. We have HH Connect. Who uses HH Connect? Who looks at HH? Okay, everybody. Okay. So HH Connect is the internal website for residents, and we're in the process of updating it. Brian Levitt did a lot of work in updating the infrastructure so that it's operable, bringing us up to the most current version, and we're continuing to update it so that it serves you as well as it can. Email is another communication channel. So generally we send emails, administrative leadership for important memos. Your COVID communications come via email, and usually those are a bit of the longer form types of communication. Then you have your cubbies, okay? Now this is an example of how we kind of go that extra mile. So things that go out in email very often also are printed and placed in your cubbies because we don't want you to miss a thing. Then there are the elevator signs. Interesting factoid. There are 11 elevators. There are roughly 5 elevator signs a day. So that is 55 elevator signs a day, which are 385 elevator signs a week. Can anyone tell me who posts the elevator signs in the elevator? Security, because you guys are so busy and active, that's the only place where we can do it that's not interrupting the advertising that you need to have in the elevators. So, and then there are voicemail notices, generally when there is a major service disruption or an emergency. And then I have Horizon House website and social media, which we're also involved with, but those are more external, okay? So let's move on. But wait, there's more. So Brian Levitt is the Director of Information Technology, but he is also Director of Innovation. So he and his team don't just make sure all our technical systems are running and up to date. He is always scanning the horizon for technology that can enhance the resident experience, be in tune with future resident desires, and create efficiencies in how we work. That brings us to K4. Has everybody heard the term K4? Okay, so some of you, as I've discovered, it's kind of confusing, okay? K4. So K4, just like GE is a company that has a range of products like microwaves, refrigerators, and ovens, K4 is a company that has a series of tools for senior communities. The tools we are using right now are HHTV, the digital signage that you see around Horizon House, Alexa Voice, and the mobile app. Now, all of these form an integrated system where we provide information via a centralized hub. In other words, we don't have to keep typing things in individually to get the information that you need. It's integrated into a database, as it were, so that if there's an event that we put in K4, it goes in the app, it goes on Alexa, it goes on a digital sign, etc. Okay. Now the two things you'd most interact with are Alexa Voice and the mobile app. Now Alexa Voice, research has shown that most people use, just out there in the world, most people use Alexa for setting a timer, playing music, and checking the weather. But our Alexa can do a lot more. You can ask it all kinds of things. What's for dinner? What's the Friday night movie? Has the mail been delivered? Things like that. So I want to talk a little bit about the mobile app, okay? So what is a mobile app and why use it? So mobile app is just, we call it app for short, and that just means application, all right? Just like there are software applications like Microsoft Word and Excel, okay, apps are just little applications. And with the advent of mobile technology, phones and tablets, okay, apps were created. And they enable you to see information in a more brief and summarized way. Because people are on the go, they want to find something, they bring up an app and they look for the information, okay? So right now we have about 50 residents who use the app. especially I'd like to thank Bonnie Miller for early on, Deanna Nelson and Jim Hitter for all of their help and feedback as we initially rolled out the product. So why would you use the app? Here are a few little things. You can see your dining account balances. Generally, we've had a little glitch with that in the last couple of days, but you can open up the app and see what your account balance is. You can check Horizon House information while you're away. So say you're visiting grandkids. You can bring out your device and check what that event was that you wanted to see on Thursday night. You can see the menu. Now, our menu has lots of great information on it, but if you want to just see the food, you can see it on the app. And important notices. So if something happens at Horizon House, right away we're going to put a notice on the app because it's the easiest and quickest thing to do at first. And then more features will come. So that's just a few reasons why you'd want to use the app. Okay, so let's go on. Now, the mobile app and HH Connect. So while I've been talking about the mobile app, designed for smartphones and tablets, and you look at information in a certain way on these devices, I'm now going to throw a wrinkle into the mix. Because vision doesn't improve with age, K4 gets this, and so you can also view the app on a computer, okay? So just like many of you look at HH Connect on your computer, you can look at the app. So some people have gotten confused. Well, why don't we just have one thing? Okay. Well, the K4 app is not a website. It is like short form information, like little sandwich boards of information. You're not going to read War and Peace on an app. Okay. And it has limited, by design, has limited flexibility and capacity, but it's really handy and you can see a lot of great information on it. Okay, so it's not a replacement for HH Connect. HH Connect is not going anywhere and it's going to get better. So HH Connect is a website, okay? It is longer form information, library book lists, entire wellness schedule, lots of links. There's lots of evergreen or long form information that you're going to find on HH Connect, okay? It has more flexibility and capacity, and we still need it. Okay, so it's a both and, kind of a little bit different in purpose, okay? But let's go on. Different strokes for different folks. So what I talked about earlier about there being a range of preferences for how you consume information, we post information in more than one place, okay? Let me give you a couple of examples. The alert, it's printed. It's in your cubby. It's on the K4 app. You can ask Alexa. You can, or it's also posted on HH Connect. So there's all those ways that you can get the alert. Let's take the menus, for example. Email, they're emailed out to you. The menus are printed. You can look at HH Connect to see a menu, and you can ask Alexa. Okay, so we try to serve you by posting information in more than one place because you have different preferences for how you like to consume it. Okay, so in closing, to sum it all up, we want effective communications. We want to be timely, accurate, consistent, and clear. You have the power of choice. You have a lot of choice for where you like to read information. Overall, Horizon House will continue to incorporate digital technology where it makes life better and more efficient. And as I mentioned, we would like to have more of you use K4 app and the Alexa voice. And so this spring, we'll be offering more training for you to sign up and become used to using it, if you so like. You don't have to do any of it. In closing, I just would like to say that, please call or visit. My door is open, and I'd love to get to know you better. So thank you very much. And I'd like to introduce Jeff Townley, who will give you a dining services update. Thank you.
I don't think I quite need the paper to stand on. Maybe if I sound a little taller. All right. Well, hello everyone. Good to see everyone without the masks on, and it's definitely nice to be sitting up here talking without it on as well. So hopefully you can hear me a little better and everything like that. Definitely want to start off like I always do. Our latest event we had at the Terrace Dining Room was St. Patrick's Day. And it was quite an event. As always, Oliver put on such an amazing display. Table setups were amazing as well. You can see the display, the table, and we have a picture of the staff we had working that night. We had James and Jasmine, Paige, Janine, Aaliyah, everybody was there that night. And I think we did about 160, 170 people came in that night. A lot of great feedback on the corned beef and cabbage. I was hearing the next day from several residents about that. Chef made a beautiful Guinness stout chocolate cake that was really popular, and there was none of that left at the end of the night. So very, very successful evening. Moving on, what I really wanted to focus on today was just talking about lunch service. So as we all know, lunch is basically the one meal period we offer right now where you can come in, sit down, and have a regular sit-down service. I don't know what's been going on. I think with the mask going away, the sunshine coming out a little bit, resident guests being allowed to come back in, but we're getting a lot busier at lunchtime. In fact, yesterday we had about 55 people come in for lunch and almost less than that at dinner time. So it was one of the first days we've done more people at lunch than dinner time. Had 2 servers on that day yesterday, myself, so it was really busy. And the reason I bring that up is just to talk about reservations some more. I know I've put that in the menu alert the last couple of weeks talking about it, but it's really helpful if you do make a reservation for lunch. Every day is different for us. Some days I have 3, maybe 4 servers working. Other days I have 1. Like today I have 1 server today and myself, so it's going to be a little more challenging. So when you make a reservation, that helps us kind of space out the service and give you guys a lot better service than having everybody come in right at 12. 12 o'clock is usually the busiest time, so you know when people are walking right up at 12 o'clock wanting to come in, a lot of times I have to tell you, well, I can probably get you in 12:30, 12:45, you know, and the reason for that is we're just so short on service or on servers. So with that being said, I thought I would take this opportunity to kind of go through the open table reservation system. I know a lot of residents use it. We can see when you've made a reservation on open table or when you've made it in person, and I want to say about 60 to 70% of our reservations are made through the open table application, so that's great. But I just thought I'd kind of go through step by step. I've done this for a lot of residents as they come down and we're having struggles getting understanding on how to make a reservation. So when you go to HH Connect, you kind of see the first page there, and about halfway down on the right, you'll see our dining services section. All right. So once you click in there, you'll see another little area where we have the open table widget. Now what you're going to do here is you're going to select the date and the time of when you want your reservation, and you hit Find Table, and the next screen is going to show you what is actually available. So say you pick 12 o'clock on the 28th, and when this screen pops up, if there isn't a 12 o'clock there, that means that time frame is booked. And so, you know, 12:15 or 12:30 is going to be the next one that's available. So the next step you do is select which time you want, and that's going to bring you to the next screen here where you put in all your details. And this is the part I think where some residents have not gone the full way. So you have to put in your name, your number, your email, and then you'll see on the next slide there, you got to hit that big red button at the bottom that says confirm. I've had a lot of residents that have gone through all of that and said, oh, I didn't hit that button. So that's the most important part, to confirm the reservation. So once you do that, then I'll take you to another screen, and most of you that are already logged in, your information's already there. But if it's your first time, it'll give you a chance to put in a password so you can revisit it, and then you'll see your confirmation on the next slide. You'll also get an email that confirms that the reservation was made. So if you haven't got that email, you've either probably put in the wrong email or you need to go through the process again. All right. I'm always open to show residents how to go through this. If you have questions, come down. I can meet you at the host stand, and we can go through all the steps in person. I've done that for many residents in the past, and I'm happy to keep doing that. So give it a shot. It's a really easy way. You don't have to wait for us between 2 and 4. You could be up at 2 in the morning and decide you want a lunch reservation and make it then. So we encourage you to use it. If you are going to walk in for lunch, we still will welcome you. Just understand we might not be able to get you in right at noon. We might have to wait till 12:30, 12:45 sort of thing. And then with that being said, just to give you a little quick update on hiring, I feel like there is a little bit of a trend going up on that. We recently hired 3 diet aides for the assisted living. That's been kind of one of our hardest hit areas recently, as Rose has been putting in a lot of extra work, working 6, sometimes 7 days a week, helping them up there, being here at 6:30 in the morning till 7 o'clock at night. May has been putting in 6 days a week up there a lot. So getting those people up there is going to help immensely. And then I've also just recently hired another server. The issue with him, he's not vaccinated, so it's probably going to be 4, maybe 5 weeks before he can start because he's got to get his 2 shots. But we are seeing a little more traction on people applying and things like that. So I'm hoping the tide is turning and we can kind of get back to more normal dinner service at night moving forward. So look for that hopefully soon, and we'll get it going. So that's all I have. Next up is Charlene Hutchinson and Ruth Ann Ford for Partners in Care. Thank you.
Good morning. Good morning. My name is Ruth Ann Ford, and this is Charlene, and we are tickled pink to be here today to share about Partners in Caring. Partners in Caring is the philanthropy effort at Horizon House that raises funds for residents' assistance, staff scholarships, and GEM grants. The endowment has proved to be a powerful funding source for our programs. Starting this year, donations will go towards the Partners in Caring endowment, which will then fund all of our philanthropy programs with the earnings that are generated. Our sense of community and helping one another is what makes Horizon House unique. A wonderful part of our job is witnessing this generosity of community. We see residents helping each other through times of illness, volunteering to share knowledge, and participating in Partners in Caring. Over 85% of residents donate to Partners in Caring each year, which is so wonderful. You will see more pink throughout the coming weeks at our pink pop-ups, where we will be celebrating Partners in Caring. Check your alert for more details. I'll share a little bit about Residents Assistance. Residents Assistance is an important fund in Partners in Caring. It was started by a group of residents in 1967 to ensure that no resident ever has to leave Horizon House for lack of financial resources. Normally, residents only need assistance for 1 or 2 years. The need fluctuates from year to year, sometimes as high as $900,000. Last year, it was about $407,000, and 8 residents were supported. Charlene will share a little bit more. Thank you.
Thank you, Joan, for the stool here. It works great. Thank you, Ruth Ann. Good morning. I'm going to share another arm of Partners in Caring. We award GEM grants that staff and residents can put forward that helps to promote and benefit the community. Here's a picture of Karen Gwillem, who's here today. She is pictured in the sewing room. We granted her some awards, or the sewing room, sewing equipment, as well as chairs, one of the chairs she's sitting in. So it's a very exciting part of Partners in Caring. Last year, we awarded 9 grants at $9,000. And a fun fact, does anyone know what GEM stands for? Okay, I'll tell you. It's Gifts, Endowments, and Memorials. So they're a little trivia. Next arm of our Partners in Caring is staff scholarships. Staff scholarships are awarded to staff who want to take professional or personal classes, education, and be reimbursed for that. Pictured here is Ayab. He works in assisted living, and he was reimbursed for classes that he took last year. And as you see, 23 staff members received scholarships totaling $38,000. And that is the bulk of our funding that we do with Partners in Caring. And I just want to share with you that today everybody will be receiving a pink packet like this in your mail cubby. And in that packet will be this brochure that will be full of information about all of our programming. So it's very useful information. Please take a look at it. If you have any questions, Ruth Ann and I would be happy to meet with you and have a cup of coffee or even go to lunch. And now I am happy to introduce our co-chairs this year. We are delighted to be working with them, and they're going to share with you a little bit of why they are so passionate about Partners in Caring. Karen Lane and Jeff Graham, please come on up.
Well, hi. It's really a delight to be standing in front of you again. It's been a long time since I had the opportunity to speak to residents at this podium when I was on the Board of Trustees years ago. I'm honored to be a co-chair this year with Jeff, who clearly got the pink memo better than I did, because this is such an important part of our community. We've just lived through some very unsettling years. We've struggled with COVID. We've struggled with the condition of our neighborhood. Now there's a war in Europe, and we have the disruption possibility of the West Tower in Horizon House. But no matter what comes along, I find myself being grateful. Grateful to live here, grateful for all of you, grateful for a community that supports and honors its residents and its staff who support us so beautifully. I'm honored to be a co-chair this year. It's one of the most, it's the evidence in my mind, the symbol of what this community is all about as Partners in Caring. I've supported the program ever since I joined the Board of Trustees, and I hope that you'll join me this year in making a contribution. Thank you. Jeff?
Well, thank you, Carol. Well, when Charlene called me, I wasn't sure why I was meeting with her. And then she asked me if I would be one of the chairs this year, and I kind of thought about that, and I wasn't sure I had the ability to do that. But I also thought this is an opportunity for me to sort of give back for all of the things that Horizon House has given me and to also give forward. I know when John and I moved here, that two things that impressed us was that we were told that no one ever had to leave Horizon House because they couldn't afford to stay here. And we have had a friend that happened to in this last year, and that was very important to that person. And the other thing, that this was started by residents who were concerned about fellow residents might have to leave, and that all of this was started by us. So that was really impressive to us. I think this has been exhibited this last year, or last 2 years, when all of us want to take care of each other and have really taken this pandemic seriously, that we all know that we're all very susceptible to this virus, that we want to make sure that it doesn't happen here. And I also have to say that our management and our staff have been extremely helpful for that. And it's very impressive to me that we do this. And John and I have always contributed to Partners in Caring, and both of us have put a legacy gift in our wills in the last 2 years. So I urge you to contribute this year and continue this great program. Thank you. And now I get to introduce Brian Hulse. I remember.
Joan, are these for me to, these? Yeah, I got them.
I'll take it back to the coffee.
That's okay. This was a great example of how residents and staff collaborate for the community. I mean, I see this in many areas of our committees, but this is was a great example of where we see that partnership. And so it's fantastic. Well, I wanted to provide a reminder and an update that, gosh, this will be the last time we're having Fireside Chat in the Anderson Hall for quite some time, because we've been working for quite some time to try to prepare our plans and get ready for the refresh of this space, and we're very excited. But I want to go over a few details associated with that just so that there are no surprises. And so April 4th is when this room will be offline. And so what you'll be seeing between now and then are some changes of us getting equipment out of here as needed and preparing ourselves for this room and these rooms being closed. And so hopefully, if you're coordinating or a sponsor of meetings and events, you've heard from me or Risa. She and I have been working very hard in trying to find where can we relocate folks because of the displacement of the Anderson Hall being closed. And so what you'll also see starting actually this week, we're starting to change some of the way the rooms are normally set up. So for an example, the Myrtle Edwards room, we took that 11-foot conference table out, and there are other tables in there so that we can have the flexibility if needed to have different kind of setups. We'll be doing that down in the West Wing game room. We'll do that in B1, the TV room, and there'll be a number of different changes that we need to do based on the variety of things that are happening. We've also collaborated with the dining services team. They've been fantastic. There'll be events in the terrace dining room. So we are going to have to do some creative things in those spaces for some of your events. We will be using some portable sound systems in some of the spaces. And if you've seen the 65-inch TVs that IT provide for us, we'll be having those in a number of the rooms to be able to meet our needs. On some of the sound system and the TVs, there's some back order, so we're hoping they'll get here as soon as possible for when we have your meeting places that are in new spots, but we've been working really hard to try to plan ahead for that. We've had a number of meetings where we've met with the art committee because it's really important to us and the community that we take care with the art, and we have a plan for the art that is in any of these, in this room and any of the adjacency walls, to be stored and placed in a way that is embraced by the art committee, because that's important for all of us in the community. And we've worked with the appropriate individuals for the musical instruments that are in this room. So the piano over here in the corner, we'll actually be relocating that to the lobby. And the upright piano will be going to the terrace dining room, and we'll be storing the organ during the construction that we're having. So Lacey, let me take a look at the screen to make sure I didn't miss anything. And so the last thing on there is the Sky Lounge. Gosh, the Sky Lounge is going to be closed still for a little while. So the way that we relocated events is before the Sky Lounge is available. And then once Risa and I have an exact firm date of when the Sky Lounge is available, we'll start working on putting the appropriate larger events in that space that seem to make sense for the community. And we'll be reaching out to those sponsors and those that have those larger events that make sense for us. And then the next slide will show us a visual of the view of a map of the Anderson Hall where all the red lines are. That's the construction area that's going to be happening. And on Tuesday is when the Anderson crew will start putting up a temporary wall that will enclose the construction area. So you can expect that work to be happening going into that first full week of April. And so there will be some associated construction noise that is happening with that. They'll be using the elevator number 8 that goes down to the loading dock, and we've talked to them about the safety of that intersection over here. So they are very in tune to your safety and for all of that activity that's going to be happening in this space. So exiting the library into the corridor over here between the chapel will be not available because that is inside of the construction space. As an FYI for you, the door right over here on the exterior will not be accessible for residents because again, that's inside of an area we're turning over to them for their construction area. So we're really excited to be getting this space refreshed for you. There was a lot of hard work that Reese has done to get us to a point to be able to adjust all of the events and programs, and we will be having a combination. Some may be on Zoom and some will be in different spaces. So we appreciate everybody's patience and understanding so that the next time we're in here on a fireside chat in this space, it'll be the beautiful refreshed Anderson Hall. So the next thing I was going to talk about, which I did last month, were elevators. And so if you live in the North Tower, the elevator number 11 is functional. Yay. So the short-lived 2 elevators, of course, as I mentioned last month, is that now number 11 is very quiet. It's going very smoothly. We've been testing it. It's working fantastic. Number 10 is going to be offline for, we anticipate going down on Monday, October 28th will not be the correct date. It'll be March 28th, sorry. 7 months prior. So it'll go down on Monday and we anticipate it being back up by the end of the week. So it's a shorter time span and we apologize, but it's a planned outage rather than unexpected. And so in overview, we've had, as I've mentioned before, the company has been here every day with numerous staff members from the elevator company working on a number of things that we have identified in collaboration with them. They've been working with Sean. And so next week, we'll be having a meeting actually again with a follow-up, Christy, Sean, Brian Byers, and I, with the owner and their representative again, to see how have they been doing based on the promises that they made. And to us, it seems like they've made some nice progress. We haven't had as many unexpected outages. I'm hearing this morning in the West Wing, we had some challenges of those elevators. I apologize. That's associated with some things that we're working on that we became aware of. So we appreciate your patience, but even after next week's meeting about elevators, the importance of it doesn't go away. We will continue to stay on top of that so that you have what you would expect is functioning elevators that are something that you can count on when you go to push that button. So thank you. And Erica, I believe you're up next, and there's paper here if you want them. Joan is sharing.
Excellent.
Okay. Need that either. Good morning, everyone. So I have just a quick update. I have to look at it. It's the only thing I want to talk about today is our annual drug take back program. So once a year, the DEA has a national drug take back program. We participate in that, and we have collect everybody's unused or expired drugs. We usually, in years past, we collect those in the clinic. At the moment, we don't have a receptacle, and we will have an answer for you very shortly where that receptacle is going to be. But I want you to think about this because our drug take back day is designated for the April 30th, Saturday, April 30th. So start looking through your pills, decide if you want to start chucking them out, collect them all. We want you to take your bottles and either scrape off the labels or take a Sharpie and black out any of the pertinent information that identifies you. you can bring it down you'll collect it, and I'll have information where to bring it to very shortly. We'll put it out in the alert and all the places that Joan said we will put it out, okay? And then we'll have a collection day by the 29th, Friday the 29th of April. And then we will load it off and take it to the police station, and they will do what they do with it, okay? So you'll have more information about that. All right, and our next person will be Elizabeth Hoover. Welcome, Elizabeth.
Thank you. I'm sure you will all want to visit the Monday market this coming Monday, the 28th, which we are calling Cammie and Susan Day at the market. We invite all to visit that day for sure, to express our gratitude for their 4 years of volunteer leadership, which ends on April 1st. We cannot thank them enough for their dedication and the contribution of time and talent they have made. And we hope to see you there on Monday. Again, also, I'm here to make a pitch for our next Residents Council meeting. That'll be April the 19th, but because instead of in person, it will have to be on Zoom. And we'll be shown also on HHTV. And that's because, you know, as we just heard, Anderson Hall will be closed for renovations. I do hope you're going to join us on that Zoom meeting, because it will be held in our now time at 11 o'clock on the third Tuesday, and we will be spotlighting 3 of our committees that day. And those will be the mentors and the mixers from our welcoming committee and the neighborhoods of Seattle. And we spotlight these committees because we want you to know what the Residents Council is doing firsthand. We want to give you a glimpse of how these committees are coming together back normally, shaking, shimmering, and rolling into our new fiscal year beginning April the 1st. So watch for our announcement on the alert and hopefully on HHTV. So now Brian McCormick, the Human Resources Manager, will now introduce our new residents.
Thank you, Elizabeth. Introducing our new employees. So we did not have as many new hires as we'd like this past month, but we've got some great strategy moving forward to bolster that. But I would like to introduce our 4 new hires. Nardos Tedesi is our new housekeeper. Nardos is not with us here. We also have Lisa Ozetta. She's a spiritual care volunteer. And then we have Meseret Balibi, an elder care assistant. I don't think Meseret is here either. And then we also have Nancy Edquist, who you all know, as our spiritual care volunteer as well. So we have 4 who have joined us in these roles. But I would also like to mention we have some additional HR team members joining us. I wanted to give them a shout out since we won't be able to do this in person. I don't have their photos up here, but we have Sierra Morgan, who will be joining us as HR manager. And then we also have a new in-house recruiter who will be working full-time for us, Jovan Gartrell Hall, to support us in our efforts to get staffed. We also have some new tools in place that I hope will support our hiring practice and lead to a lot longer of a list up here next time we come together. Next up, I'd like to bring back up Mike.
Thanks, Byron. I want everyone to know that in leadership, nobody stands on pedestals, but periodically we do stand on stacks of paper. So you see that happening, it's because we want to see over the podium. So thank you, Byron, for introducing a few of our new staff. We do hope we'll have more staff. We continue to work it, as Byron indicated. We're hiring a recruiter, somebody who can focus full time on this, and that's what it takes. Just as a total side note, to give you an idea of the competition for staff, one of our competitors is offering not only very high wages, but offering to raffle off a car to staff. So you can see where the effort is going, that there is a certain desperation in the marketplace that they advertise that they will be giving away a car to people who become a part of the next pool of staff. So you can just see where this all goes. When staffing gets short, people get as creative as they can. So hopefully we don't necessarily have to go to that, but I think we would rather just make sure people are well paid and like being here, and hopefully that's enough of a draw. I want to give another shout out to our Partners in Caring team. You know, this is a hardworking group. They are raising money from residents for residents. And I know that when we're in a controversial time with a West Tower possibility, it's caused a lot of consternation, and a lot of people have said, well, the way I'm going to emphasize my dislike is I won't contribute to Horizon House. And I get that, I understand that, I would hope that would not be your choice. Residents helping residents is important regardless of organizational decisions. Feel free to come and browbeat me about your concerns or things that bug you about our choices. But that team is doing their best to make sure that residents continue to help residents. So I hope you support them and you're able to separate out the two issues in a way that continues to support Horizon House. Let's see, some bright spots here. Well, certainly, no masks are optional for independent living residents. Staff are still going to wear their masks and will do so until the coast is totally clear, and who knows when that'll happen. Monday market, open to the public. Now business can really get going. This came up as a topic in our focus group at the Sorrento on Tuesday when I was talking about some of the committees that we have and the specific how these committees are funded through our Monday market. And a lot of people really were interested and thought that that was a terrific idea. So I gave them a sales pitch. Hopefully they'll be lining up and be buyers and help the Monday market along. And let's see, then, our new logo, you're going to see it more and more in different places. I hope that you kind of get comfortable with it, kind of like it. It will be rolled out kind of gradually in different modes, in paper and ultimately signage on the building and so on. And that's all I have right now for updates and bright spots. Our next Fireside Chat will be on the 29th of April. We'll see you then. Thanks so much.
Thank you, Mike, for that.